everybody. My name is Siviwe Kwagube, the DA's Chief Whip. I'm joined here by the DA leader, John Steenhuisen, and both of us have just come from the handover ceremony of the Independent Panel report over to Parliament. You will recall several months ago, Parliament had started and instituted an independent panel in accordance to Section 89 of the Constitution. That independent panel's job was to look at whether or not there's prima facie evidence to institute impeachment proceedings against the president following the theft on his Phala Phala farm. So now the work of the panel has finished and they have compiled the report and they have handed it over to Parliament. The report will be handed over or made public later this evening, and so we were there at the handing over ceremony. This is an important process in Parliament because this is the first time that we have tested the process in Section 8 and 9 of the Constitution. This is the first time that we have used the rules of the National Assembly to work on this process. And so we have been looking at it quite closely because, of course, what we believe is that there shouldn't be one set of laws for ordinary South Africans and one set of laws for politicians. Everybody is equal before the law. If there was wrongdoing, which we have been suspecting that there have been on the president's Phala Phala farm, then he needs to be held accountable. And so I want to just get an understanding from you. What do we expect to see in the contents of the report this evening?
Yeah, well, I think that the nation and us are all in suspense now. We're going to have to wait until that ATC is released, and I think all of us are going to be sitting, hitting the refresh button on our emails this evening, waiting for that report to drop. But a very important report, and what a pity it wasn't released simultaneously, as we saw during the Zondo Commission handover. The moment that the report was handed over by Chief Justice Zondo to the President, it was in the mailboxes already. I think that given the precedent-setting and historic nature of this report, it is a shame that we're now kept in this suspension until then. But I think that there were some very important clues that came out from particularly the comments made by the Chief Justice retired today, and that was him confirming the narrowness of the focus of this particular Section 89 inquiry, where he said they were confined to the submissions that were made, that they were not able to go further than what was in those submissions. And this is at the heart of what the argument that Siviwe, you made and the party made about why we should rather have had an ad hoc committee process, which we tried to get the Speaker to institute during the parliamentary recess. She refused. We brought a motion to the floor of Parliament, and that was voted against. And that was done deliberately because those in the ANC who are trying to protect the president would know that a very broad-focused ad hoc committee would have been able to summon the president, would have been able to summon Wally Rhoda, it would have summoned Arthur Fraser, it would have been able to call the South African Reserve Bank, it would have been able to bring SARS in, and it could have brought in anybody and compelled any person to produce any document. Those are the wide-ranging powers of an ad hoc committee. The Section 89 panel's powers were much, much narrower than that. So what I suspect we're going to see happening later in the report, and this is my guess, I'm not saying this is what's in the report, but my sense and reading of the situation is the panel's going to come and say, yes, these are serious allegations, but at this stage they remain allegations. They're not tested, and that Parliament should maybe revisit this once the Hawks, once SAPS, once the Public Protector and once the South African Revenue Service have complete, because then you will have evidence. And that was always the folly of doing it this way, and I think it's why the Speaker leapt at the opportunity provided by the ATM through the Section 89 process, because she knew much narrower, much more in the interests of protecting the President. So we'll be making sure that this does go back at some stage to an ad hoc committee report, and we will obviously, through you, the Chief Whip, brief the nation closer to the time on what those next important steps are. But for now, I suspect the President's going to walk away from this, and obviously they're going to try and portray this in the media as the President being cleared. I want to be absolutely fundamentally clear from our side. Just because the report hasn't found there's grounds for impeachment does not by any means clear the President from any form of accountability or responsibility, or the fact that he has serious questions to answer. On his own admission of what happened there, there are serious problems. First of all, the exchange control violations. You're not allowed as a citizen to have large amounts of foreign currency for extended periods of time. Secondly, the Constitution is also clear about what is called a conflict of interest. It says you may have private business interests, and the President said Phala Phala is a private business interest. You have to declare them, but you also have to ensure that there's no conflict of interest between your role as the head of state and your private business interests. Using the Presidential Protection Unit, and the President has said, I didn't report it to SAPS, I reported it to the Presidential Protection Unit. And then the Presidential Protection Unit going across borders, trying to recover the monies that had nothing to do with the President's role as head of state and everything to do with Ramaphosa, the businessman, is something that's not available to ordinary South Africans. They have to go to SAPS, they have to report it, there's a case number that's given, there's a procedure that's then followed. The President was able to short-circuit all of that and essentially had a private debt collection agency in the form of the Presidential Protection Unit going out to recover his private business debts. I would advance serious conflict of interest and a case to answer.
And I just want to also just to emphasize that for us, this is not the end of the road, regardless of what the panel has found. Because ultimately, we're not going to allow the ANC to render Parliament useless. We're not going to allow this institution to just be a rubber stamping institution. We're going to do everything in our power to make sure that the true accountability powers of Parliament are realized as is envisioned in the Constitution. And so regardless of what the panel finds, we will make sure that we follow up with action. We will continue fighting so that Parliament really can be the platform upon which the details of what took place on that farm on that day are truly unpacked. And so with that, we just want to say we will keep you posted. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will be in touch soon.
Thanks for watching. Like and follow our page on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell. Tell us what you think in the comment section. And please, like and share our videos with your friends and family. Join the DA. Join the fight to save South Africa.